I want to show you something. When my father passed away 4 years ago, each of his sons got something of his. Strangely enough, my father's talesim, and my father collected talesim. He had so many of them. My brothers got all of the talesim. I think the understanding was that I had enough of my own, that I too had acquired a collection of talesim. I have a talis that you'll sometimes see me wearing that my father gave me. It very much resembles the talit that Cantor May is wearing. When Cantor May and I were ordained, we received a talit from the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. And that talit is one that both the Cantor and I wear with extreme pride. And on the atara, the collar of it, it has inscribed both the insignia of the seminary and the bracha for putting on a talit. My father felt that that was an insult because he assumed that if we became rabbis and cantors, we should know the bracha. So my father had for himself made and for me made identical talitot with the same atara that had both the Jewish Theological Seminary's insignia on it, as well as a statement that he felt was more appropriate. So you can see mine is the blue and white version, the Cantor's is the white on white version, and you can see the insignia of the seminary on it. And instead of it having the bracha, it says, Da lifnei mi ata omed, know before whom you stand. And so that talit is as important to me as any object that I have. And my brothers get to wear the talitot that smell like my father, and I have the talit that thinks like my father. But my father left me another object that I almost never wear because I can't wear a talis clip. I move around too much. And because of that, it's constraining for me. But my father left me a talit clip that says the following: Yisrael Chaim ben Yochanan. So it says Yisrael Chaim on one side, and then it says Ben in the middle and Yochanan on the other. My father's name was Yisrael Chaim, the son of a man named Yochanan. That man died 3 months before I was born. And so I got his name, Yochanan. And so he left me talis clips that actually say Yochanan ben Yisrael Chaim. All you have to do is flip it. And there are Shabbatot where I arrive here in the morning and I miss my father. And I'll go over to the plaque that we have on the wall, like so many of you do. And some of you do exactly what I do when I look at that plaque and I rub my fingers across them, as if I could feel my father one more time. And sometimes I just hold these talit clips in my hand, and I know he's watching over. So here are the things I believe about God and about death. Now I want you to know that it's just what I believe. There is a wide variety and an extremely deep options for what we can believe about life after death. After all, you know, very few have gone and come back and reported. So here's what I believe. God cannot be truly understood in human terms, but I do want God to take me by the hand. God is eternal. I'm mortal, and I want to know something of me will live on. We are supposed to fear God, to be in awe of God, but there are so many other things of which I am afraid. I miss my father, and I believe he lives on through me, my brothers, and all of our children? And the answer I gave a young woman in this congregation after the tragic passing of her mother: I believe those whom we love and are no longer with us live on eternally alongside God. I believe that. Whether that's because I have convinced myself of that truth, or it's because our tradition teaches it so many times. I believe it in my core. It makes me feel better. It makes me feel connected. Today is about living in the loss. Naomi Levy wrote in Einstein and the Rabbis, today is about living in both of those spaces. The space of the living and the space of those who have passed away. Not only about the soul and what happens after you die, it's also about what it does now here in life. Necromancy is worship of the dead. It was very much a part of the ancient world, and remnants of it still remain within us. So we reserve special times of the year to focus on the dead. In fact, there are 4 times. Yizkor on the 3 pilgrimage holidays, Yizkor today, and of course, on people's yortzites. We erect monuments. We inscribe plaques. We donate money in their memory. And we exert more than just a fleeting thought when our loved ones' birthdays come around. I've been known, as I've already mentioned, to just walk by and run my fingers across my father's plaque here in the sanctuary. Even throughout the plague, when our synagogue was closed down, we continued to turn the lights on and off on the month of the yortzeit. Not because people were going to come by, but to let people know we were watching. That's why when you go to a loved one's grave and you see rocks placed on top of their stone, that you feel better knowing that others have been there. And so we continue to turn those lights off and turn those lights on. I have often remarked that I have a familiarity with death that is like few others have. By far, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death far more often than I walk down the aisle at a wedding. I have noticed that since I have experienced personal and significant loss, my heart hurts more for people who lose loved ones. And I know now what they were going through. They always say that a rabbi should be 30 years old but have 40 years experience. The Talmud in Moed Katan tells of Rava, who has an extraordinary fear of dying. And he seeks out one of his teachers who's about to pass, and he asks those teachers, can they please report back in some way, maybe in a dream, maybe in a sign. We all have that, right? Those of us who have lost loved ones, there are signs we believe they're sending us, a flickering light, a bird that flies by, maybe even a ladybug. Rav Seorim said to Rava, Master, appear before me in a dream after your death, and Rava appeared to him. Rav Siron said to him, Rava, Master, did you have pain in death? He said to him, it was like the prick of a knife, a little bit of a letting of blood. It wasn't so bad. It was also similar that it was reported that Rava sat before Rav Nachman, and he saw that Rav Nachman was dozing, slipping into his death. And Rav Nachman said to Rava, Master, tell me, the angel of death, will it torment me? And Rava said to him, Master, are you not an important person? Haven't you respected heaven? Rav Nachman said to him, in the supernal world, who's important, who is honorable, who is complete? And Rava said to Rav Nachman, Master, appear to me in a dream after your death. And he appeared to him. And Rava said to him, Master, did you have pain in death? Rav Nachman said to him, like the removal of hair, of a single hair from a glass of milk, which is the most gentle process. But nevertheless, were the Holy One, blessed be he, to say to me, go back to that world, the physical world as you were, I wouldn't want to go because of the fear of the angel of death is so great. And I wouldn't want to go through that terrifying experience again. There's no question about it that death terrifies us. It scares us. It hurts us. But the story conveys that a dimension of the consciousness persists that we may communicate with the living. The most important part of the story is those teachers and students continue the conversation. They continue to talk to each other. The dialogue continues. But the point of the story is also that we live in the world of the living. When the dead are at rest, let their memory rest and be consoled when the soul departs, says Ben Sira. And I read that phrase almost every funeral. When the dead are at rest, let their memory rest and be consoled when the soul departs. Whether it's a tragic death or a lasting, long, difficult passing, when the memory rests, let the soul rest and be consoled when that soul departs. Golda Meir said something significant, well, said many significant things, but she once said that when our enemies love life as much as we do, instead of how much they love death, then we'll truly have peace. We live in an in-between world. Can you just do me a favor and just tell them to keep it down a little bit? I keep losing my spot. A dear colleague of mine, Rabbi Eli Spitz, once wrote, today many of us, no doubt influenced by the scientific model of believing only what you can see and be measured, tend to look askance at the notion of the soul's survival, for which we only have circumstantial evidence from such phenomenon as near-death experience, or maybe even mediums and apparitions. Yet many of us believe that there is some form of consciousness that survives long after death, even though we have no idea how we can justify that. No matter how hard that concept is, sometimes it eludes us that the soul lives on. Simply put, if you concentrate hard enough, you can feel your loved ones. If you pick up something of theirs they left, you feel a current run through you. That is their soul touching yours. Because you too have a soul, and they stay connected, and you must learn to care for your soul so that your loved ones can continue to reach out to you. Galileo's trial was about putting science on trial. And no doubt we have seen this year the genius of science, whether it's in vaccinations or space exploration. There is an undeniable truth to science. But today, our job isn't to focus on that. If you want to do that, you can watch a variety of science channels on television. Today, we focus on our souls. Look, there's no dichotomy. There's no science or religion, but our obsession with science and technological innovation, I believe, has left our souls bereft. Haneshama lach ve'aguf po'alach. God created both the soul and the body. And we can't lose track of the fact that we need to care for our souls, if only to be able to continue to feel our loved ones around us. Our souls are yours. It's what makes us holy. Our bodies are your work, God. Look, everybody now is reevaluating their lives. First and foremost on most people's agendas are their work. Will they go back to their jobs, or will they stay at home? If they decide to stay at home and their jobs don't permit it, what are they going to do next? Today I ask you, if you are in the process of reevaluating what you're going to do with your life, think big and then dream bigger. Because you are a part of something great, a continuum that exists in our world. What you do with your time here is important. It's significant. It can be impactful. It can be purposeful. Einstein often spoke of the imperative of connection, as opposed to what he also referred to as the delusion of separateness. The imperative of connection, not the delusion of separateness. Einstein, the physicist, was convinced of the unity of all of the universe, of all existence. We continue to remain connected, not just to each other, but to those who came before us and those who will live on after us. This year I did something with my talit. Sharon gave me this talis for our wedding. And it came with some beautiful tzitzit on it. Sharon, of course, embroidered the atara, the collar, which you don't often get to see because I fold my talis up over it. But this year to the tzitzit, I added something known as techelet, the blue fringe. This year I added patil techelet as described in the book of Bamidbar, the book of Numbers. And I noticed something immediately. And you too will notice it if you look down at your tzitzit. They are interwoven. And in certain places, they're tied in knots. With this blue fringe, I understood something that I'd never understood before, that sometimes some people stand out. And sometimes others blend in. But they're all connected, they're interwoven together. Sometimes our loved ones who we have lost were extraordinary people who did great things. And sometimes they provided us with the greatness of love and kindness and compassion and care and concern and humility and tolerance and patience. And that too is stand out. Sometimes we are all tied up in knots. And sometimes we're able to let life flow freely. That's what tzitzit remind us of, along with the other mitzvot. To allow yourself to at times be tied up in knots, but at some point allow yourself to flow freely. So no matter what, we're all connected. And so now time to say Yizkor. I'll ask you to first take out these booklets that we have.